All right, we're on the live all day.
All right, this is Terrence Golston. Several cases for Mr. Golston, so bear with me. Representing Mr. Golston today.
Yeah, that would cover Mr. Golston. Andrew Burkhausen on behalf of the state.
All right, good morning. Good morning, Mr. Golston.
Good morning, sir.
All right, I have case B 21, is it 00021? B 21-03729, B 20-6451. Those three case numbers have a total of 26 charges, is that right? The word county?
Was, yes, correct, 26 charges.
And they're all death related, identity fraud, tampering with records, correct?
Correct.
Mr. Golston, is my understanding that you're going to change your plea from a plea of not guilty to a plea of guilty to a plea arrangement. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I just don't want to waste the court's time. Yes,
All
sir.
right. Is there an agreed upon sentence?
No, Your Honor, it's an open plea.
Okay. All right, Mr. Golston, I have to ask you a few questions, so bear with me, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, how far did you go in school?
Graduated college.
Are you able to read and write?
Yes, sir.
All right, you able to go over the plea form with your attorney?
Yes, sir.
Have any questions regarding the plea forms?
I don't have some questions regarding the plea form. Like I said, I just don't want to waste the court's time. I'm guilty of some of the crimes I committed. I'm a professional car salesman, and I got involved in something during the pandemic after I lost my job, and that was bigger than me. And that's what made me work with investigators after I found it out, because I didn't know how big this thing was.
Okay,
So
we'll get to that in a moment. I
Okay.
just want to make sure you understand
Yes,
everything
sir.
that you're entering a plea to.
Yes, sir.
All right, you understand that a plea of guilty is a complete admission of guilt. And once you enter a plea of guilty, I will hear the facts from the prosecutor. I will find you guilty and sentence you accordingly.
Yes, sir.
Are you entering this plea voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
Have you been promised anything in exchange for your plea?
Not as time wise, no, sir.
All right. Have you been threatened or coerced in any way to enter this plea?
I didn't understand the open plea at first, but after my lawyer explained it to me, it was something I wanted to do. But
It means that you are not agreeing on a particular sentence.
yes, sir. Like I'm putting my
That you put
trust
your
into-
faith in my
Yes, sir.
hands.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
The prosecutor is going to tell me the nature of the plea agreement. It's going to be rather lengthy because it looks like you're pleading to 11 charges, 11 of the 26.
15.
Or is it more?
A total of 15 of the 26.
There should be two plea forms.
I see it. I see the second plea form for case B 20-6451. So you're pleading to 15 counts. Okay.
Yes, Your Honor, the plea agreement is as follows. In case B 2121, Mr. Golston is going to plead as charged to all of the charges in that indictment. In case B 213729, Mr. Golston is going to plead guilty as charged to counts 1, 3, and 4. We will be dismissing count 2. In case number B 206451, Mr. Golston will be pleading guilty as charged to count 1, count 2, count 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 13. The state will be dismissing counts 3, 4, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. We will be requesting a pre-sentence investigation victim impact statement, picking a sentencing date. As previously mentioned, there is no agreement on sentencing. Mr. Golston and his attorney are totally free to present whatever mitigating evidence they wish to present. And likewise, the state is free to present evidence on its side as well.
Is that your understanding, counsel?
Yes, it is.
And none of the charges are being reduced or modified in any way.
No, that's correct.
Mr. Golston, Am I saying that right? It's Golston or
Yes, sir.
Golston?
Dalston, you said it right, sir.
Golston?
Yes, sir.
One case has a T and one does not.
It's Goldston, sir. There is a T.
There's a T?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You understand that you do have a right to a trial by jury
Yes, sir.
on all of these charges.
Yes, sir.
You understand that you do have a right to require the prosecutor to bring in witnesses to prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yes, sir.
You understand you do have a right to bring in your own witnesses to testify on your behalf.
Yes, sir.
You understand that neither myself nor the prosecutor can require you to testify against yourself.
Yes, sir.
All right, I have 3 documents in my hand, one for each case, with your signature on it, giving up your right to a trial by jury. That is your signature,
Yes, sir.
and that is your intention to give up your right to a trial by jury.
Yes, sir.
Bear with me, everyone, sign these documents. Go over each charge that you're entering the plea to. If someone tally these for me,
You know, I usually do it. I apologize.
that's all right, we'll get there. So on B 21-000-21, count 1, tampering with records, felony of the 3rd degree. I can give you anywhere from 9 to 36 months in prison and a maximum fine of $10,000. Counts 2, 3, and 4 are all the same. Again, felonies of the 3rd degree. I can give you anywhere from 9 to 36 months in prison and a maximum fine of $10,000. On B 21-03729, count 1 and count 4 are felonies of the 4th degree. That means I can give you anywhere from 6 to 18 months in prison and a maximum fine of $5,000. Count 3, tampering with records, again, felony of the 3rd degree. I can give you anywhere from 9 to 36 months in prison and a maximum fine of $10,000. B 20-6451. Counts 1 and 2 are felony, count 1 is felony of the 4th degree. I can give you anywhere from 6 to 18 months in prison and a maximum fine of $5,000. Count 2, felony of the 5th degree. I can give you anywhere from 6 to 12 months in prison and a maximum fine of $2,500. Count number 5 and 6, again, identity fraud, felonies of the 3rd degree. I can give you anywhere from 9 to 36 months in prison on each and a maximum fine of $10,000 on each. Counts 7 and 8. Felonies of the 3rd degree, I can give you anywhere from 9 to 36 months in prison on each and a maximum fine of $5,000 on each. Counts 9 and 13, felonies of the 5th degree, I can give you anywhere from 6 to 12 months in prison and a maximum fine of $2,500 on each.
No, Your Honor.
What count it up for me?
We both counted up to 35 years maximum fine.
35 years, you're looking at 35 years on these charges, sir. You understand? All right, you understand that if I choose to sentence you to prison for whatever time I sentence you to prison, once you are released from prison, you may have to serve a period of post-release control.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You understand that if you are placed on parole, the adult parole authority is authorized to return you to prison for up to 9 months for a single violation and up to a maximum of 50% of your prison sentence for all violations.
Yes, sir.
You have any questions?
No questions at the time, Your
All
Honor.
right, you understand that if you're convicted of a new felony while on post-release control, that in addition to being punished for the new offense, I could add an additional 1-year consecutive prison term or whatever time remains left on your post-release control term, whichever is greater. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Even though you're facing 35 years, prison sentence is not mandatory. I'm sure your attorney told you that.
Yes, sir.
That I could choose to place you on community control.
Yes,
Have
sir.
you ever been on probation?
No, sir.
If I choose to place you on probation, you have to abide by all the terms and conditions of your community control officer. If you fail to abide by those terms and conditions, violate the law in any way, or leave the state without permission, I could modify your sanctions, continue your sanctions for up to 5 years, or impose the entire 35 years. You understand?
Yes, sir.
You have any questions?
Basically, not only what you, just programs like, me not having like nonviolent crimes, am I eligible for like programs, like mental health programs and drug programs?
You definitely eligible for
Okay.
programs once
Okay.
you get it.
Okay.
Yes. How do you want to do this?
Well, I
Do you want
discussed,
to do it as a global guilty, or do you want me to go through each charge and get a guilty?
Well, we're prepared to do it global. He's going to stipulate that the facts are.
Well, I'm gonna put some facts on the record, just a little bit, so that
Right,
know
but
what
we
we're
can
doing.
do it in a summary. I think we're fine with that.
All right,
We'll stipulate that the facts will add up to the charges.
so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 charges. What is your plea to all 15 charges?
Guilty, sir.
Guilty.
Yes, sir.
All right, I will accept the guilty plea. Briefly on the facts, tell me what was going on.
so Judge, before I will summarize, I just think, so what Mr. Keller and I discussed was that he would stipulate to the statutory language in the indictment for each of the counts, waive reading of indictments, and agree that the statutory language is sufficient to constitute the crimes, and then I'll provide a summary.
That's correct. We shall stipulate.
Thank you, go ahead.
The summary of all of this, Judge, is that Mr. Golston and some of the people that he was associated with were stealing cars in a variety of different ways from car dealerships or other avenues, either through a scheme where they were basically duplicating key fobs and stealing vehicles off of car lots, or they were using straw buyers to try to obtain cars. The vehicles would then be, the VIN numbers would be changed. They would use fraudulent fake titles to try to retitle the vehicles for the purposes of that, either reselling the vehicles or using the vehicles for drug trade activity. The court might recall there was another co-defendant who worked inside the BMV, and he recruited that girl to pass titles for him inside the Bureau of Motor Vehicles. And so they were basically doing that, also using stolen identities from other people. So it's kind of a complicated scheme involving titles, vehicles, some criminal tools, and VIN number tampering, with the idea of creating kind of washed, clean cars, either for sale or for use in the drug trade.
What dealerships were they targeting?
So we've got in the indictment, we've got vehicles from Cronin Ford, Northgate Chrysler, Fairfield VW were three of the dealerships that were named in these indictments.
And approximately how many cars were stolen?
The BMV investigator is here. In terms of what we have in the indictment, Judge, there are titles related to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars that we have in this indictment.
Okay. Now I want to hear from the BMV representative. Tell me about this. How did it actually work?
Well,
Can I
Cars
hear
are-
you, sir?
I'm sorry, my name is David Wood. I'm the investigator for the Ohio Bureau of Motor Vehicles. Wow. In the interest of us wanting to go to lunch relatively soon, Your Honor, I'll try to keep it brief. What would happen is Mr. Golston, or one of the people that he had recruited, there was some pre-work that would go into the theft of the cars. The cars were stolen off of a dealership lot. By pre-work, I mean somebody would typically go onto the lot. I've got multiple instances where the people at the dealerships were call scene, people are taking for a test drive, the purpose of which is to obtain the VIN number for the vehicle.
So through a test drive?
Through a test drive, or at least being on the lot where they could see a real VIN number of a real car. With that information, unfortunately, the law hasn't caught up with the technology, but the technology exists. You can actually use the VIN number to create a device that you can find the plans for online and assemble for a couple of $300. That device can then be used to program a key fob that will override the legitimately created key fob that came out of the manufacturer's office. Then you can go back to the dealership after all this, once you got your handy fake key fob in hand, hop in the car and drive it off and you're gone in a minute. We found a device exactly like this in the vehicle that Mr. Golston was arrested in. Now, it was at the feet of the guy that was driving the passenger seat, I believe. Regardless, in conversations with him, and I don't need to get into evidence, his statement to me is that that device belonged to a young man who he refused to identify, a locksmith that had done some work to fix his wife's Honda, I believe it was. She had lost her keys, so she needed, and the time frame of how long ago this had happened was somewhat amorphous. And Mr. Golston's statement directly to me was, I was holding on to that until I could meet up with him to give his key fob machine back, along with 12 or 20, a bunch of blank key fobs, all in the same backpack, all stuck together. So once the car is off the lot, the car is taken to a location, I don't know exactly where. There is one location on West 8th Street that we know about. And what they would do is they would receive from Georgia in many cases, a stolen blank piece of Georgia title stock that was stolen during a 2011 break-in. Now, he doesn't have anything to do with that break-in, but these titles, these blank documents, are available for purchase and use by car thieves all over the country. Get that piece of paper in hand, you put fictitious owner information on it, Dave Wood, whatever, 2020 Dodge Charger, and you make up a VIN number. That's not the VIN number that's on that vehicle, but it is the VIN number that's going to work for this key fob that you just reprogrammed. Okay, so you put a fake VIN number, physically a decal. Most of a lot of us that are not such spring chickens anymore remember when you bolted the VIN plate to the dashboard. Not saying you're old, Your Honor. But it's they don't bolt into the dashboard anymore. It's just an adhesive sticker. So they pop the window out, put this fake VIN sticker on the dashboard, and they usually even went so far as to change what's called a federal identification label inside the driver's door. They put a fake one of those on there with a fake VIN number on the dashboard, matches the fake paper title work. So everything's matching, and you got a key fob that drives the car. Then you recruit somebody to go into an Ohio clerk court's title office with that fake paper and the car. And first, they go to a state contracted deputy registrar to get an out-of-state VIN inspection, because based on that title, it looks like this car was purchased from somebody in Georgia. So you got to get an out-of-state VIN inspection. Well, they've already got the thing, and it all looks great, because all our clerk was trained to do is go out there, look at the dashboard number, write it on this piece of paper, hand it to the applicant. It wasn't him that was doing this. It was and then that paper, along with the fake title, is taken into a title office, and everything looks great because it all matches. Ohio title is issued, out the door the car goes. Okay, it's got a clean Ohio title. It's got a VIN. It's got a key fob that drives the car. The car is then taken somewhere else and sold or given to other members of the conspiracy. The outsourcing of the vehicle is again something of a, we're not exactly sure what was happening in each individual case, and the reality of it is multiple. Many of the cars that Mr. Golston was stealing, I would call special orders, consignments from some very, very, very bad people. And they would be delivered to Dayton, to Columbus, to Atlanta, places where these bad people live, because they wanted these cars that Mr. Golston had stolen or arranged to be stolen. And then they would be delivered to those locations. Others, when they were recovered, were found parked on the street in front of his house, parked in other locations, or in the possession of other not such awful bad people, but still not the greatest folks, that didn't have any legal reason to have the car. So there's a couple of different ways the cars were outsourced and monetized.
How long did it take the dealerships to actually learn that the car had been stolen?
Well, months in some cases, as I found out, which shocked me bluntly. And very often they would file a report with their insurance agency, like, man, crap, the car's stolen, it's gone. Because they're out there looking for the original VIN number. It's not under the original VIN number anymore. They don't know what the car is that they're looking for because they don't know what the fake VIN number is. The whole point of putting the fake VIN number on it in the first place. So, yeah, so they would report it to their insurance agencies. They get their insurance claim paid. Of course, making their rates go up and all that other stuff, which is part of the insurance industry. But it's, that was what would happen with these vehicles is they would, the dealerships would be out the car and they wouldn't know. And they wouldn't know what to look for. They may even file a police report. They usually did in most cases. And the cops are out there, they're looking for the wrong car.
Is there an amount of restitution that's being sought?
The answer to that question ultimately, Your Honor, is yes, but I'm not sure exactly how much it is because the cars that we recovered have either been returned to the insurance company or the dealership that may or may not have lost money on the difference, but I know the court can't handle that. There's other cars out there that are still under the fake VIN numbers that we have no idea where the heck they went. So I don't even know. I can tell you that the title paperwork is fake. I can tell you that the VIN number doesn't match, but I don't know where that particular physical vehicle is. So the answer to your question is yes. As to a dollar figure, Your Honor, I can't begin to tell you. I can give you an approximation based on the year, make, and model of the vehicle and the retail value out of the blue book, but it's going to be a ballpark.
Right.
And Your Honor, that is actually something that we'll
address.
prepare for the victim impacts.
Last question I have for you. The young lady at the BMV
Yes.
that was sentenced to 18 months,
Yes, sir.
what was her involvement?
So she was a recruited person. The purpose of what she did was she had 4 separate times. She issued Ohio temporary registrations based on fake Georgia title papers. Just with anyone else, you buy a car from me and you and I have a private deal. I sell you my car. I sign my title over to you. You can use that assigned title to go get a temp tag. You don't have to immediately run down and flip it into a title in your name, Your Honor, and then go get hard plates. You can go get a temp tag. Happens all the time when you're legitimately buying and selling cars between states. But what was happening in this instance is this fake title that she knowingly knew was bad because we got text messages between her and Mr. Golston and her and some other people. She would take in the paperwork and she would issue temp tags knowingly on these four times to 3 different people from Ohio. Those 3 Ohio driver licenses were found in the same backpack that was found in Mr. Golston's possession when he was arrested, along with the key fob program running blank key fobs.
Okay. So she knew.
She knew exactly.
But there were some clerks who didn't know. They were just doing their job.
Yes.
What was her relationship with the defendant?
I don't know how to be blunt about it. Want to be booty call, but I don't think it actually got that far.
He's not his head, yes.
Yeah, well, based on his statements to me, Your Honor,
Yeah.
that was the intent. But as to exactly how he got in touch with her, that kind of goes into a matter that we discussed some months ago in your chambers.
All right, thank you.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so we lengthy facts. Finding us guilty to all 15 charges. We're gonna do a PSI and a victim impact statement, correct?
Correct.
Anything we need to discuss before then?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Golson is going to ask to be released on bond pending sentencing. And I have several reasons why the court should consider that. He was cooperating for quite a while with the state to the extent of disability. He is a cog in a much larger machine. He wasn't able to give them all the information they were looking for, but he did pass on information to the best of his ability. He then picked up a new charge down in Georgia, and therefore missed a court date. After resolving the matter in Georgia, there was an extradition order which was never served, never processed. So after spending about a month and a half in jail down there, they simply released him. When they released him, he came back to Cincinnati on his own voluntarily and turned himself in to sheriff's office voluntarily after talking to me. So he has done everything in his power to cooperate. The only reason he couldn't cooperate further was the fact that he was locked up out of state. But again, once that was resolved, he came back on his own, turned himself in, and is now facing the situation. I think there's no reason to think that he will not come back when he's required to. He knows.
Here's the problem. and maybe it's not a problem, maybe I misheard, that he was out on bond, went to Georgia, picked up some new charges, took care of all of that down in Georgia, and then came back.
That's
That's not
correct.
the case?
That is the case.
That is the case.
That is the case. And
Okay.
obviously, that's not good.
That's not good.
It's not good. But
To be 100% clear, the charges were for the exact same thing
Yes, sir.
that you had already let him out on bond for.
Okay.
Right, so.
Not good.
just to summarize this, I mean, he knows what he's facing. He's facing, what do we say, 35 years? There's every incentive for him to come back because we're expecting the court to do something less than that.
Well, if I'm looking at 35 years, there's an incentive for me not to come back.
Well, but it's not promised, but he is expecting something considerably less than that. And he knows that if he doesn't come back, he's probably looking at the whole 35 or something close to it. And he's established this pattern of coming back voluntarily and subjecting himself to the situation he's in.
How many days does he have in?
115.
115.
Did you give him credit for the stuff around too, in Georgia too?
No.
Just wondered.
Only what he does for Ohio.
Can I say something?
Yes, sir.
Even before I got out on bond, I also had a couple months in. But when I first got out on bond, I paid my bond and I went straight voluntarily to Mr. Wood, because I knew I was in something bigger than what I was in. I cooperated with him, I can say 98%. The case in Georgia, I just didn't get signature and I didn't get permission from him to go get the title that he needed for me for cooperating. And I think Mr. Wood will speak on that for me to the ability that I did cooperate from the beginning with the arresting officers. And then when I got out on bond, I cooperated with him. So when I came back, I even called him, collect from here, we talked and I cooperated him again. But now here we are now taking the plea. I want to be able to finish cooperating with him. So when I come back for sentencing, I can have a case consideration, whether I work with him or I got another agent, Ben, that I've been working with, and they will give me.
Well, unfortunately, I don't think you're gonna be able to cooperate anymore because we're on live TV and I'm sure whoever you're working with knows now you're cooperating, so you're not gonna be much
No,
use to the BMV.
I didn't have nothing to have for us cooperating because I knew I got something bigger than myself. So it's not like I'm sneaking and cooperating. I'm giving him information that needed him for his investigation. And I think Mr. Wood will agree to that.
So what would be the purpose of letting him out?
Judge, can we approach on that? I don't think it's something that the audience needs to hear.
Okay.
You should have asked me first, Terrence, just put me on the spot, dude.
Okay. Wait one second.
Just for the record, the state is opposed.
Yes. All right, bond will remain the same. I don't think there's a need for him to be released at this time. And the fact that he's looking at 35 years gives him a good incentive to abscond and never come back to Ohio. So we have a date,
February 10th.
February 10th, see you back then.
Right.
February 10th.
Yeah.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You have something?
Yes, sir. I don't know how I can get the information I need from PSI and turn.
I don't think they need to work with you anymore.
He's referring to contact people to speak for him. and
Yeah,
things like that.
he said, they said I could get a stay, so sentences, so I can get my stuff together.
What are you
for
trying to get?
sentencing. I got character witnesses that I can bring in, I got to get letters, and I got things I need to get, and that's why I
Your
signed
attorney
it
can
complete.
do that for you. Your attorney can get the people in to testify. We'll have another sentencing hearing. They can come in and testify.
But that's, well, I signed it open plea because they said I could get myself together and I get my bond reinstated for a stay, so I can get myself in front of you and sentencing and be able to offset my sentencing from my charges. Now it's like, now I'm facing
So,
35.
let me go back,
Yes, sir.
because I remember
Okay.
when we started this, I asked, were you promised anything in exchange for your plea
No
today?
time.
What'd you say?
Not today, they promised me any time.
No, but you're saying they promised that
Yeah.
you would be let out.
To take care of to sentencing from PSI. And so I can get my character witnesses, in line to be able to offset my charges with
That's
who I
not the
really
case.
am.
No, sir, not with me. He's called me, I think, was that you's been calling me for like 4 times?
No, when I talk,
So, somebody's been calling me from the jail regularly, but due to me either being on the phone or the calls coming in after my working hours, I haven't picked any of them up.
Okay,
but Mr. David, Mr. Wood, I know I'm not trying to put you on the spotlight, but when we spoke, and you said that because I went to Georgia and didn't get the right information by signing it as being one of your cooperative persons in this investigation, that I did it wrong, that I can now cooperate and get all my sentence on set with the judge. So now y'all saying I pleaded guilty to all these charges, but I don't get a chance to prove my state or my bond reduction because now it's just me against my charges. I'm not a bad guy. I worked for these car lots. I agree. I did these crimes. I agree. But I'm not to the extent that you're looking at it, and I just wanted a chance. I turned myself in twice. I bonded out and then I cooperated day one with him. I called him and said, let me cooperate, let me help you with your investigation, because they would, like you said,
I mean,
I wasn't
honestly,
involved in all this. I
I
wasn't
think
involved in
you
all this.
being with us, you'll be safer than being out there on your own.
But I want a chance to be able to prove that my character is not what you see for 35 years. Now, the plea that I entered now is just you knowing what I did on record. I'm a good guy. I work for.
So are you telling me you no longer want to enter this plea
I mean,
arrangement?
if I can get my 30-day stay to be able to prove my other side of Terrence, right now you just see my charges, Your Honor. And he even said, all those charges, I didn't know about all of them. I was in over my head. And the things that I was in over my head, I came to him.
You know, here's where we are. We've already entered the plea. We went over all of the instructions and your rights. You told me you were not promised anything in exchange for this plea. Now you're telling me that you were promised something that you're not getting.
Yeah,
correct?
I'm not gonna lie to courts. But then what we talked about was a stay, pre-sentence investigation. I turned myself in twice to these courts. I'm not a high risk.
Who did you speak with about a stay?
My lawyer. We talked
Okay.
about a 30, today was supposed to be a bond reduction. He said if I plead guilty, an open plea, he'd get my bond reinstated or I get a stay waiting for PSI.
Did he say he would get it reinstated or
A
he
stay.
would ask to get it reinstated? Big difference.
Yeah, he said either if I get it reinstated or I get a stay. So if I plead
Did he
guilty,
say that he was definite that it would happen
a
or that
stay.
he would ask me?
It was either or, either I get my bond reinstated or I can get a stay.
You're not listening to the question.
Okay, yes, sir.
Did he say that he would ask or did he say that it was a guarantee?
It was a stay. He said like.
You said you would get a stay.
This is that words. If I can't get your bond reinstated, I'll get you a stay. That way, wait no sentence, you have PSI. And I can be able to bring my character witnesses and I can prove to the courts. This 35 years is not Terrence Golston. This is Terrence Golston.
Okay,
I was cooperating with the investigation. I was cooperating with the arresting officers. I've been cooperative with Mr. Wood. Am I right?
okay, so you just told me the conversation between you and your attorney.
Yes, sir.
And what he told you was actually correct. He did not get your bond reinstated and you do have a stay for 30 days. You're just not out on the street. So he told you correctly that he would try to get your bond reinstated. It was not, so he got you a stay, 30 days. So you're not, haven't been sentenced yet. You'll be sentenced in 30 days.
But
So he did exactly what he told you.
no,
Judge, if I may, to clarify things, since he's brought up our conversation, I made it as clear as I possibly could that you had not promised a bond reduction, the prosecutor had not promised a bond reduction, and I was not promising a bond reduction. I said that we would bring this matter to the court at the end of the plea, and that the judge would then decide whether to release you or not. That's,
Right.
I made it as clear
Yeah,
as
if I
possible.
didn't release you, I would give you a stay, which I did. Stay of
So-
execution of sentencing for 30 to some odd days.
that's not my, sorry, that wasn't my understanding. I'm
So-
sorry. I'm
If,
sorry, Your
if,
Honor.
if you want to say you no longer want to do this deal, that's up to you.
I just want some time to be able to work to show that I am not this guy.
So you want to stay with the deal.
I want to stay with the deal. I need, and pending sentencing, Okay, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead, go ahead.
Mr. Golson, I am fully in favor, the state of Ohio is fully in favor of you having as much time as you need to present whatever you need to present to the court with your attorney to get your side of this case in front of the judge. And that's exactly what this next hearing is going to be all about. It's going to be your chance to present all of those things. And so I will represent to the court that if you needed more than 30 days, the state would agree to a longer stay. Whatever
just
you
won't be
need
on the street.
to get and to do that, we're not going to let you out. We're not going to agree to let you out. But you can have as much time as you need to work with your attorney to prepare whatever you feel like you need to do for sentencing.
And this is why I said it, because even though my kids went to virtual, my wife does a lot for me. They just went to virtual, so I can't put that on her. She's a single mom out there right now.
Mr. Golson,
I have done,
Mr.
sorry, go
I'm
ahead.
gonna tell you this.
I have nothing but.
Let me just tell you
Yes,
this.
sir.
You are going to prison. You understand?
Yes, sir, I do.
There's no doubt about that.
Okay,
The young lady who helped you on 4 instances got 18 months.
okay,
So you have to figure, you got 26 counts that you pleaded guilty to 15 of them. You're doing more than 18 months, right?
yes, sir.
That's a given. Okay, I'm not gonna let you out because I know you're going to prison. That's one of the factors I have to consider, whether or not I know you're going to prison, which I do, and whether or not you have opportunity to abscond, which you do. Okay, so we can go around and around for the next 2 hours. That's fine with me, I'll be here. I mean, but nothing is going to change. Okay,
And I understand, I mean, my understanding, so open plea, which is very, 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 very risky on my part, if I can't show you who Terrence is.
you can. You just have to have the people come in. You know, you have to make your phone calls from jail, you have to write your letters from jail, you have to talk to your attorney from jail. He will bring in the right witnesses to tell me who you really are, okay? That's his job. And he will do his job. He will bring in the witnesses for
Well,
you.
I don't even waste your time, but that wasn't my understanding of open plea.
Okay,
PSI.
so you have a choice.
Yeah,
You can withdraw your plea, we go to trial on everything, you're probably looking at, what, 60 years at that point? Or we can stick with the plea and we'll come back for sentencing in 30, 45 days.
you don't do nothing for 2 weeks.
Nothing is going to change.
So what the judge wants to know is, are we proceeding with the plea?
Are we proceeding with sentencing? He already entered the plea.
Well, right.
Whether or not he's gonna ask me to withdraw that plea.
Say that again, sir.
Are we gonna proceed to sentencing? Or are you gonna ask me to withdraw your plea because you're not getting out? Even if you withdraw your plea, you're still not getting out.
Well, I understand, I just don't want to waste my time, I just want to show, I want a fair handshake. And Mr. Wood can say, he can speak up. for
Which
me a
Mr.
little
Wood,
bit.
there's two Mr. Wood. No, that's
I mean, he can
That's
speak
the
up
update,
a
Wood.
little bit for me before sentencing.
the. I'm getting another day, but-
I will give you full credit for everything you gave, Mr. Golston. It's a very lawyerly answer to what you're asking me to do. I don't know if Your Honor wants me to go into this right now or not.
No, that's sentencing.
Not.
That's
This
sentencing.
is
We'll take all that into consideration when we
You
come
can-
back for sentencing.
All right.
I mean,
We'll take into consideration the work that you did for the BMV.
You told me that.
Yes, I'll take all that into
Thank you,
consideration.
sir. Okay,
All right,
thank you, sir, I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
February 10th, right?
210, keep the 210 date, okay.
Thank
Yes.
you.
All right.
Thank you.
Monica, do you want your person to find out?
Can I say something to my brother? Can I say something to my brother?
Give me 1 second. Have a seat right there. Oh, have a seat. You coming up to the podium?
That's about it.
Actually,
You want to say something to him?
yes, sir.
Yes, Sean.
Stay right there, don't go anywhere past that candy.
Yes,
You
sir.
turn, talk to your brother.
Oh, okay.
No, stay right there, stay right there. Stay, you went too far, stay, you went too far.
I thought I wanted to address you.
No.
Back there, Chuck, it was hot in here. Isn't it? Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Sorry. Yeah, you're always wearing that. Yeah. So you know I got on the left, so should I send it back? Okay, so that's Miss Margaret. Okay. cool.
Thanks, Sean.
All right, thank you, sir.
This is my baby stuff.
I'm gonna let you clean up before you go.
Thank you.
Mostly unrelated though.
Another cut me off.
I got it. Here, I got this. You Stop.